So today we continue with our class Shabbos Home, and this session and all of them should be dedicated to Refuah Shlema with your Rabbi Yaron Reuven Shlita. His name is Yaron Ben Doris. Also to Yehudis Bas Noach, Ariel Ora Bas Anna, Imim Rasir Achel Bas Brindel, David Shlomo Ben Sandra. Also quick release of our dear friend Shmuel Moshe Shmuel Ben Pnina. Also Atzlacha Rabba to Giveres Chana Bas Abraham and the whole family. BeEzrat HaShem. Okay, second. So we continue today with our class Shabbos Home, and we started a new chapter today, chapter 18, Gathering. Me'amer. So section 1 is the Av Melachah. Me'amer, gathering, is one of 39 Avos Melachas prohibited on Shabbos. Gathering was necessary for the construction of the Mishkan, where the plants were from which the dice were made, were gathered together in one place after they were harvested. So very, very simple. First we cut, right, and then we gather together, get something together, right, in one place in order to make dice. So you see all these things about making dice. I think we said in the beginning, I don't know, maybe 10 steps, 10 different melachas, right? So plowing, seeding, all of this, right? All these things. Okay. Right, gathering. So next one is cooking also. They were cooking dice. Section number 2. Definition of me'amer, gathering, is to gather together in one place scattered grains, fruit, vegetables, etc. This is done to protect the harvested produce from being stepped on or blown away by the wind. Okay. Since the purpose of the Melachah is to protect the produce, the following activities are included in Melachah: making piles or bundles of harvested produce, placing harvested produce into container or boxes, or stringing them together as with figs, gathering that which is done for the purpose other than protection, gathering that is done for purposes other than to protect the gathered item is not subject to this Melachah. Okay, so let's try to go over this section number 2, definition, and we're going to continue. So again, so Melachah of gathering is to gather together scattered in one place, scattered grain. So meaning that first they cut, I think they drop, for example, grain, they drop in that place, and then they go around and gather it together, making sheaves. Okay, so it's actually grain and fruits. Right, so first they shake the tree, and then they go around and collect all of the fruits. Okay. Fruits or vegetables. Okay. So meaning now they put into one container, into one place, into one sheaf. Right. So and the purpose, as we always say, the purpose must be positive, and positive meaning to protect the harvested produce from being stepped on, right, or blown away by the wind. Okay, so no problem, protect even from animals, wild animals. Okay, so meaning we gather for protection. Since the purpose of Melachah is to protect the produce, the following activities included in Melachah, right, so protection: making piles or bundles of harvested produce. So meaning piles, I mean, today we put everything in boxes, in some kind of containers, right? Placing harvested produce into container or boxes, okay, or stringing them together, right, as the figs. Gathering that is done for the purposes other than protected gathered items not subject to this Melachah. So I guess that it would be forbidden rabbinically, but we'll see. BeEzrat HaShem. So part number 3. Condition required for Melachah to apply. even where the gathering is done to protect the gathered items, one does not transgress the Torah prohibition of gathering except following circumstances. So the Torah, right? The Torah prohibition only, as we always say, it's constructive manner. So following circumstances, two circumstances, and it says, number one, the items grow from the ground. The biblical Melachah gathering apply only to the things that grow from the earth. Things that do not grow from the earth, not included Melachah on the biblical level, though sometimes forbidden on the Rabbinically. See section 7. Okay, we're going to get to it. So one thing, the first condition, that in order for this Melachah to be forbidden, so it must, things must grow from the earth. So from fruits and vegetables, actually other things as well. So everything, whatever grows, herbs also grow. All right, so that's first condition. Second condition: the item that are gathered on in the place of growth. Right. Second condition: the biblical Melachah gathering generally applies only to plants gathered in a place of the growth. For example, wheat in a field, fruit and vegetables in an orchard and gardens. Okay. So second condition. Right, according to biblical level, then we gather only in a place where it grows. So, what does it mean? Where else we can gather? Yeah, we can. For example, we have a bowl of nuts, and then it fell, and they scatter around the table or around the floor. Right. So, of course, it's not in a place of growth, but the question is: are we allowed to gather them? For sure, to protect. For sure, somebody not to step on them. Right. So we'll see. So that's an example, not in a place of growth. Next, it's an exception to this rule. Things that generally gather together away from their place of growth are included in Melachah of Gathering. For example, dried figs are generally brought in from the outside to be strung together indoors. This process of stringing is customarily done indoors. Bringing the dried figs into the house to be strung is a Melachah of Gathering. Okay, so I'm not sure if we have in nowadays something that would apply to you, but we will see in practical applications. So he's talking about in a general rule, as we said, the gathering in a place where it grows, but sometimes these figs, I think they dry them first, right? And then they do stringing, like not stringing, meaning they do like cakes, fig cakes, right? Not outside, not like in an orchard, but actually indoors. So meaning bring it from outside into indoors, but they're going to gather together. That's only then it's going to be a violation of this Melachah. But gather in an orchard is not going to be an issue. Okay. So it's very, I'm not sure if there is another exception. Maybe. Okay, so part number 4, fundamental rules of the Melachah. Number 1, number of items needed to transgress the Melachah. The Torah of prohibition of gathering applies even to gathering together just 2 items. So, right, as in everything, we have a minimal amount. Here is even two pieces we gather together. Okay. Let's see. Number 2, items to which the Melachah applies. The Melachah applies to the things that grow from the earth, whether they're food items like fruits and vegetables, or not fruit types like leaves and twigs, etc. So let's try to understand. So fundamentals rule of halacha. Okay, so there are more of them. So first one, how many pieces? Even 2 pieces. To which it applies for something that's edible, not edible, right? From fruits, vegetables, or twigs, leaves, right? Firewood, for example, right? Number 3. Gathering previously gathered fruit that becomes scattered. The poskim disagree whether it is prohibited to gather items that were once gathered and then scattered in their place of growth. Right, so he's very, very careful with his example. It's not like in my example in the kitchen, so it's not in a place of growth, right? So he's in a place of growth. There is a fruit that was gathered in a basket and was tipped over in a place of growth. Some authorities rule that prohibition does not apply, while others rule that it does apply. We follow the stringent view. Okay. Even the authorities who permit the gathering do so only where the gathering is done. Gathering is not an improvement over the fruit gathering. However, if the gathering is more effective than the first gathering, then all authorities agree it is forbidden. Thus, for example, stringing together figs is forbidden according to all authorities, even though the figs were previously gathered outdoors and brought inside. Since stringing together figs gather them together more closely than before, it is forbidden on Shabbos. For further discussion of this rule, guidance is section 7.2. Okay, so let's go over this number 3 and try to understand. So let me see how long is it. I'll read right. We're not going to get to practical application, I don't think so. But okay. But let's now we're going out of the theory. Okay, so again. So number 3. Previously gathered fruit that became scattered. So again, you have a, not again, but the question, you have a basket, right? So you gather all of the apples, whatever you want it, and somebody, like maybe a strong wind or animal tripped it, right? Tipped it, okay. Now it's they all are like scattered around. So are you allowed to gather them back into this basket because we're afraid that somebody is going to step on them, or they get going to become ruined? Okay, so again, the poskim disagree whether it is prohibited to gather items that were once gathered and then scattered in a place of growth. So meaning again, it's like straightforward example in a garden. There is the fruit that gathered in a basket and was tipped over in place of growth. Okay, so that's so far so good. Other authorities rule that the prohibition does not apply, while other that it does apply. So meaning there is no gathering after gathering, right? We had this concept in our Shabbos laws, cooking, right? There is cooking after cooking, or there is no cooking after cooking. So meaning, are you proving or are you actually spoiling? Right. We follow the stringent view. So stringent view meaning that we're not allowed to gather again. Even the authorities who permit gathering do so only where the gathering is not improvement over the first gathering. So meaning the first more lenient view, if you're going to just restore as it was before, there is no problem, according to them. But if there is improvement, so you gather it in a better, like not in a basket, but in some kind of box, and now this box is going to stay, say, like on a high ground or some like ants are not going to get to it. Some I don't know, some of these things, right? It's more secure, so it would be forbidden. Right. So more effective gathering is forbidden. Okay. According to all authorities, even those who say there is allowed to gather. Thus, for example, stringing together figs is forbidden according to all authorities. So they, meaning they were gathered, meaning gathered, put in some kind of container, and then when stringing, meaning right. So now they gather even closer, right? Gather even closer, brought inside. Okay. Since stringing together figs gather them even more closely than before, it's forbidden, right, on Shabbos. All right. So let's see. Number 4, methods of gathering. The Melachah of Gathering is not restricted to the gathering by hand Any customary method of gathering an item is included in Melachah Me'amer. For example, it is forbidden to gather twigs by pushing them together with one's foot, right? Because twigs are often gathered in this way. Likewise, it is forbidden to roll one fruit to the other, because it is customary way of gather the fruit. Gathering in an unusual manner is forbidden by rabbinic decree. Okay, so let's try to understand some methods of gathering. So they say methods of gathering, doesn't matter how you gather, we go by the end result. So whether a person gather by hand or or any customary methods of gathering item including Melachah or Me'amer. So meaning a person wants to get twigs and he or she does not want to bend every to pick up every twig. So they're going to push it with hands, with feet, with their shoes, right? So that's fine. Or apples or something. It's you're not going to bend to get every apple. So for example, it's on ground, there is grass. So just push it with the foot gently, right? And it's technically good enough, right? So this would be also forbidden, but of course, since it's during the week, mostly, I mean, of course, people do it, but it's not. It's a little unusual, right? Unusual way, so it is still forbidden, but on a rabbinic level. Section number 5: permitted methods of gathering produce. The Melachah of Me'amer applies only to gathering produce together in a place of growth. However, it is permitted to bring the fruits or vegetables in a house one by one, even though this will result of being gathered inside of the house. Therefore, if the fruit fell off the tree prior to Shabbos, so that it is not muktzah, one is permitted to pick up each individual fruit and bring it indoors. Fruit that fell off the tree on Shabbos, however, is considered muktzah. Hence, it may be moved only by pushing it with one's feet. In such an instance, it would be permitted to bring indoors only by pushing by foot one fruit at the time. Okay. So let's try to understand. So first, methods of gathering. So permitted methods of gathering. So meaning if you take one thing at a time, as we said before, in what's the minimum amount to violate the Melachah is 2. So meaning if you take one fruit that fell off the tree on Shabbos, this apple, so you can take one apple, but it's only must be if you know for sure that it fell off before Shabbos, right? For example, if you saw, okay, there's 5 apples, beautiful apples, we're going to eat them on Friday night, and person forgot to bring them in. Okay, no problem. Right, so you can take one by one. So one is not gathering, and even though you're going to gather them some kind of bowl inside of the house, that's fine. But since it's not in a place of gathering and not of the place of growth, there is no problem. Okay. So, but those that fell from the tree on Shabbos, right, is a problem. Problem what? It is a muktzah, so we're not allowed to touch them. And as we said before, you're not allowed even to smell them, right? Because our sages were afraid that the person will come to pick it. Okay. Right. So, but if there is muktzah, so we can deal with the muktzah push something by feet. I'm not sure if it's a good idea. How exactly, if you have a step, how exactly you're going to get this apple from the ground into the house by feet? I'm not sure. Right, without ruining it, I'm not sure. Okay, but that's the thing. And same with other things. For example, if something is muktzah, you receive package right on Shabbos, and it's very expensive package. Technically, you can push it in your house by feet. Okay. So if it's on a porch, and a porch has awnings, so meaning right, it's in a sense extension of your house. So yes, you can push it by feet. All right. So we're up to next section. It's very, very tiny sections. 6. And it says not included in a prohibition. So section before permitted methods, now it's what is not included in prohibition. No longer in natural state. The Melachah of Gathering applies only to items that are in their original form. If the items have been changed, one is permitted to gather them together. This one of the reasons why may gather toys on Shabbos, even if they are made from wood, since the wood in the toy has been completely changed from that from what it was when it was removed from the tree. The Melachah of Gathering does not apply. Okay. I'm not sure how that makes sense. It's not in the natural place of growth, but we got the point. We got the point, right? So even it's a wood, if it's toys outside, even like right, well, if the toy outside. First of all, this wood is not from there, right? It's not this. For example, they have the building blocks, right? Blocks, wooden blocks. Right, so it's not the wood was not taken from your garden, for sure, right? And plus it was, but the point is, which we need to get is that it was modified. So if it was modified, so it's not exactly wood that it would be forbidden under other circumstances, but it's something else. So it became toys. So there is no problem. We can gather toys. Okay. Right, in a house, if it's something going on in the house, you have double leniency. There is no prohibition at all. Okay, so just be careful. So if adult is gathering the toys, be careful that would be no toys with the batteries. That's the issue, right? Which is on, right? So some music. Right? So number 2, gathering for beauty. It is stated above, Melachah applies only if the gathering is done to preserve the produce. Gathering produce for any other reason is not included in the Melachah. It is permitted to put together some cut flowers because the flowers are put together for beauty, rather than protect flowers. Nevertheless, it is forbidden to make the arrangement of flowers due to Melachah makik bepatish. Okay, so let's try to understand. So gathering some for beauty. So as we said, the definition of gathering was to protect, right? To protect the thing, whether it's fruit, vegetables, or other things as well, whatever we need. Okay, but here they say if it's for beauty, it does not apply. So meaning gathering for beauty, meaning the flowers. Are you allowed to take the flowers from the vase? Technically, maybe not a problem. Technically, you're allowed to move this vase with the flowers, but to arrange, for example, they put 2 bouquets for whatever reason together, one side by side, and then want to rearrange these two bouquets and make one composition. So it would be a problem. It would be the problem makik bepatish. So makik bepatish is to remind us it's striking the last blow, meaning making a finished product. Okay, no problem. So section number 7. So now rabbinically prohibited forms of gathering. The rules we have learned to this point reflect biblical law. The rabbis, however, prohibited certain activities of gathering not prohibited under biblical law. Okay, so as usual. So, but if you think about it, if you don't have a garden or something, most of the things do not apply to us. Unless firewood, I think do not apply. But we'll see what is going to apply to us in practical applications. Okay. So number 1, items found in the ground. The sages forbade gathering items that come from They come from the ground, even though they do not grow from it. For example, iron, stones, and salt from the mine. Okay. Since the activity resembles me'amer, so meaning gathering, the sages feared that the following things, feared that allowing these things to be gathered might lead to gathering items that actually grow from the ground. Okay, so let's try to understand. So the sages forbade the gathering item that come from the ground, but did not grow from the ground. I mean, I'm not sure where you can ground iron, find iron. Iron meaning is a stone that they make a metal from. Okay. Stones. Okay, stones is more common. Salt from the mine. Again, I don't think we have salt mine nearby. Okay, so stones, I guess, are more practical for us. So not to gather stones, right? So why? Because if a person gathers stones, so next thing, which is forbidden rabbinical level, next thing they're going to violate biblical law. Since the activity resembles me'amer, right, gathering, they say, and plus stones are muktzah, and I think this iron is also muktzah. Salt is not muktzah. Can you eat the salt directly from the mine? I have never seen the salt from the mine, but I think if you take I think you can eat it. I don't think they do something to the salt. I mean, make it like it's in a stones. Make it like they not purify. I mean, they crush the stones, but otherwise that's it. There's no other purification with the salt from the ocean. Yes, they have to evaporate the water, but this salt, I think there is nothing. So it's not what I'm trying to say. It's not a muktzah. It's not a muktzah. I'm not sure if it's not a muktzah. If it was in a mine, maybe it is a muktzah. Or if it was outside, maybe it is a muktzah, right? Because a person was not planning on using it. So all of these things, the way I see it, in addition to reason that he said, it's also a muktzah, right? But why sages forbade all these things? Why? Because the activity resembles the gathering. The sages fear that allowing these things to be gathered might lead to gathering items and actually grow from the ground. Okay. Number 2, gathering fruits that become scattered. Okay, gather fruit. The Melachah of gathering applies according to many poskim, even to gathering fruits that become scattered after the original gathering, but only if it occurs in a place of the produce growing. We will now discuss the law for regarding produce away from the place of growth. So now it's more applicable to us. When it's if you have an orchard and you have apples and you gather them in a basket, and then somebody tip the basket and they all over the place, you want to put them back. That's yes, you live somewhere in a private house, or you have a farm or something. That's one thing. But for us, I think more applicable is the second part. Second part that our sages discussed, when gathering something outside of its natural growth. Okay, and it says, let's see, introduction. So it's like a separate section. Just one second, let me quickly check time, so I don't get too much time. Okay, I think we can finish. Introduction. According to all authorities, gathering produce, which became scattered in a place other is like underlined, than where it grows, is not considered me'amer, since the produce is not being gathered in a place where it grew. And Melachah me'amer does not apply. However, the sages forbade gathering in certain instances, even in place where the produce did not grow. One of the reasons mentioned by the Paskim is Paskim for a decree of weekly activity of the whole. Of the whole, as we said, in this category actually falls many other things. Right? We said we cannot exercise, for example, on Shabbos. You cannot walk fast on Shabbos, right? If you're going to sweat. Why? Because it's a weekday activity. Right? So other things. Okay. So again, the introduction. So technically, it's not forbidden to gather the things even that grow from the ground in a place where they're not growing, right? So I think we're talking about indoors, right? Or not only indoors, but indoors. I think it's a good example, right? Right, because of some reason. So I mean, one of the reasons is a weekday activity. So and commentaries say, Uda the whole weekday activity is a category that includes three types of activities: A, those that resemble Melachah; B, those that might lead to the performance of the Melachah; and C, those that involve considerable degree of bother, which when done on Shabbat detracts from holy aura of Shabbos. Okay, so that's let's try to understand what it says here. So again, weekday activity. So it's a separate category. So it's not Melachah itself. It's not Melachah itself, but it's not in spirit of Shabbos, as they call it. So three types of activity. A are those that resemble Melachah. So those that resemble Melachah, even maybe this one, gathering in not places, not in a place of growing. So it became scattered and personal gathering together. So right, for sure, is under this category. B, those that might lead to performance of Melachah. I don't have a good example from the top of my head. Okay, so let's continue. C, those that involve considered degree of bother, which when done on Shabbos detract from the holy order of Shabbos. So, for example, you can move a couch. Let's say there's no muktzah in it. Okay, even though there's muktzah like I don't know, something like in a storage area, but still you can move the couch from one room to another. If you have duplex from first floor to the second floor, technically, right? Because it is not muktzah on one hand, but it's for sure it's going to involve a lot of bother. Like a person is going to get tired, and it's not even though it's not muktzah, but it is forbidden based on this weekday activity. Okay. So next one, number one, produce that became scattered over the large outdoor area. Okay, produce that scattered over large outdoor area, such as yard or a field, may not be gathered on Shabbos. So meaning for sure it's a lot of bother, for sure. Right? Some poskim state that this is because gathering items scattered over the large area involves considered degree of bother. Exactly. So a person is going to get tired, like come and bend every time and pick up things. It's a lot. Maybe if you're young, that's not a problem, but when you're a little older, it is a problem. It is forbidden due to avdu dechol, right? Meaning weekday activities. So go around and take like a bend and pick up every item. It is permitted, however, to gather a few items in a time, provided they need it for Shabbos. Okay, so that's exception. Okay, so right. Since gathering a few items at a time for Shabbos does not involve much toil, it is permitted. But as we said before, if you take one thing, one piece in a time, it's also allowed. So number two, produce that actually let's quickly do now number one, just to make sure that we did not miss anything. So produce that become scattered over the large outdoor area. Again, produce that scatter over a large outdoor area. I mean, in an outdoor area with maybe not in a place of growth, but outdoor area, such as yard or field, right? may not be gathered on Shabbos. Okay. Some, meaning even that they brought some from somewhere else. Okay. Some poskim state that this is because gathering item scattered over a large area involved considered degree of bother. Right. It is forbidden due to weekday activity. Okay. So far so good. Over a large area. It is permitted, however, to gather a few items at a time, provided they are needed. So again, it's not a natural place of growth. They were relocated. Okay, I'm just adding the words here. Provided that they are needed for Shabbos, right? So, but from a natural place of growth, you can do only one item at a time. So that's the difference. Since gathering a few items at a time, for Shabbos does not involve much toil, it is permitted. So number 2, produce that became scattered over the small area, one is permitted to gather together on Shabbos produce that scattered over a small area in a yard. Gathering fruits from a small area does not involve much bother and therefore is permitted. So I mean, person was carrying the basket fell, and you have some plums or something like roll out. So I mean, they're around the basket, few of them, so you put back, there is no problem. Okay. Continue. Number 3, produce that became scattered indoors. Most poskim rule that produce scattered over a large area indoors has the same halakhic status of produce as scattered over outdoors area, thus forbidden to gather it. Right, so meaning it's very interesting. So indoors, so you have all these nuts, right? Somebody was carrying nuts, open container, fell, and now nuts everywhere. So are you allowed to gather them? It's if they're everywhere. So at least I think where it's a danger for people to walk, yes, you would be allowed to gather. Okay, so number 4. Right, but otherwise you have under the couch, under the chair, under the table, right? So it would not be allowed. So number 4, other items that became scattered. Most poskim rule that a rabbinic prohibition to gather produce that became scattered over a large area only applies to items grow from the ground. Right. They therefore rule that one is permitted to gather toys that scatter over the large area. Right. So meaning very interesting. Oh, same with candies. Right. They throw the candies in a room, right, off roof. So there is no problem. You can gather all of the candies. Okay. Why? Because candy did not grow from the ground. And same toys, so it's not right. So even though wood it does grow from the ground, but it's not from this ground, and it was modified. Right. So and we're up to last section, number 7, practical application. A string and figs. I mean, we don't do figs, I think. It is forbidden, it is biblically forbidden to string figs together, no matter the location. Actually, that depends where you live. I think down south, they have figs. I think we were in Virginia, I think, West Virginia. I don't know. One of these Virginias that they have figs, like in the public area, like blue figs. Very interesting. Okay, so C, making a banquet bouquet. I'm sorry, making bouquet of flowers. Making bouquet of flowers is not prohibited under Melachah of Gathering. However, the prohibition applies. Right, so meaning making bepatish, like completing the arrangement. That's would be prohibited. Okay, so and the last one, stringing diamonds. Right. The Melachah of Gathering does not forbid stringing pearls, beads, right? However, other prohibition apply. Again, the other prohibition may be makik bepatish, that they do the final product. Okay, so let's stop here. So we finish with that chapter. The next chapter is again very, I think, should be short chapter. Is win-win. All right, so do we do win-win today? There is some things to learn, but not a lot. Okay, so let's do 5 minutes break and we continue with other topics. 5 minutes.